This world-renowned musician called me yesterday. Let's give you some a hint of who it is, narrow it down a little bit. It wasn't Elton John, and it wasn't... and he called me and he was very upset. He was upset because he had become religious, and his family was not religious, and they had some kind of family gathering, and he discovers that he is fatter than his siblings. He's become religious and he's not as in shape as he was. He's become religious and he's not as well-to-do as his siblings. He's not making as much money as other people in his family. And he felt like this was like a desecration of Hashem's name, is how he felt, honestly, deeply, that he has followed the way of Hashem and it doesn't actually look better. He looks worse. He's 20 more pounds. Religious people, once someone becomes religious after not being religious, you notice something always. They always tend to eat more because they're taking away so many things in their life to become religious, so they start eating more. Anyways, but he was saying that it's really like a major challenge for him to understand how this could be, that he's following the way of Hashem and things are turned around. And tonight I wanted to talk about this question that we all have in different ways. How can we really change our lives to be a connection with our family, connection with people in our life, to be luminous, more exciting, more animated, the way it's meant to be? Sometimes, how can we break the glass ceiling? The glass ceiling, it seems like there's no way out. How can we, is there a way? So tonight's the anniversary of the passing of Maimonides, the Rambam. Did you know that when they said Kaddish in time of the Rambam, they added a line. They added the line, B'chayechon of Yomechon, and when Mashiach come in your lifetime, and Uv'chay the Chalbeis Yisrael, in the lifetime of all the Jewish people, Uv'chay Moshe ben Maimon HaSephardi. And Mashiach shall come in the lifetime of Moshe ben Maimon the Rambam. The Rambam's whole being is about the coming of Mashiach. The word Rambam in Hebrew is an acronym for Revot Moftai Baretz Mitzrayim. There should be tremendous amount of miracles in Egypt. The Rambam lived in Egypt, but the miracles that the verse refers to are the miracles that God did for us when He took us out of Egypt, and they also refer to the miracles of the coming of Mashiach, because in Hebrew the word Mitzrayim, limitations, is Mitzrayim is not just Egypt, not just a physical place. It represents all future exiles. And Maimonides, his work, is something that illuminates our paths every single day. All of Jewish law is dependent on the teachings of Maimonides. The Beit Yosef, when he made the code of Jewish law, the first code of Jewish law, his system was there are three principal Torah poskim, Torah halachic authorities, the Rif, the Rosh, and the Rambam, and he basically took the majority of these three opinions in order to discover the way to go. But beyond the Rambam's work being about the coming of Mashiach, because the halachas of the Torah, as the Chafetz Chaim says, the principle of all principles, foundation of all foundations in our faith is the belief in the coming of Mashiach. The Chafetz Chaim says it's all based upon the coming of Mashiach. Why? Because the Chafetz Chaim says more than our belief in Hashem. Shalom Aleichem. Please come in there's seats. Come closer. Shalom Aleichem. Although there's many principles of faith, the Chafetz Chaim says the most important principle of faith is the coming of Mashiach. And the Ram actually begins his work with the beginning of the Rambam is how Yesodot, Amud HaChachmot, the foundation of all foundations, the pillar of all wisdom is belief in Hashem. And Maimonides concludes his work with the coming of Mashiach, because the impact of all the laws of the Torah is that it causes Hashem, who has created the world, to be revealed in the world with the coming of Mashiach. So that's why the coming of Mashiach and the Rambam are very connected, because Rambam brought us all the halachot of the Torah to know what to do. And keeping the halachot of the Torah actually caused Hashem's presence to be revealed in the world. So it's no wonder that they add that line to the Kaddish in time of the Rambam, the Chayechon of Yomechon, V'chai, the Moshe ben Maimon HaSephardi. The Mashiach should come in the life of Moshe ben Maimon. That's what the Rambam's life is about. But I want to talk for a second about, not about the redemption of Jewish people. I want to talk about personal redemption. I want to talk about our own lives, and not just the lives of us as Jews, of all the Jewish people, but our personal redemptions, our personal issues. In the Hebrew word for machala, disease, is the numerical equivalent to 83. And there are 83 kinds of diseases. The Talmud says you could get rid of all these diseases by having bread in the morning, bread and water, bread and salt. Some opinions say it's also sufficient to have any breakfast. But there are also 83 sections in the laws of the Rambam. And the Rebbe said when you study the Rambam, not only Is it a catalyst to bring Mashiach and to unite the Jewish people? By all the Jewish people that Rebbe said studying or work that covers the entire Torah. Unlike the Shulchan Aruch, which only covers the laws that we do nowadays. The Rambam's work covers the entire Torah, including the coming of Mashiach. So by studying the Rambam, all the Jewish people uniting and studying the Rambam, it unites the Jewish people together. And it's amazing. But besides that, the 83 diseases that the Code of Jewish Law and the Talmud talk about that are prevented by having breakfast, you also need to have a spiritual breakfast. Learning Ram every day is a spiritual breakfast. Just like Maimonides was called the guide to the perplexed in his generation, when you study the Rambam, you might be studying the laws of the Rambam about the laws of Eruv, the laws of slaughtering, the laws of Spencer or Mora. It doesn't matter what subject you're studying. When you study the Rambam every day, it's your spiritual breakfast. It protects you from 83 kinds of spiritual maladies, and it's a breakfast. It's okay. You don't need breakfast. Like in LA, you didn't have your coffee today. You know? So if you don't learn Rambam, there's something missing. Let's say positive. If you learn Rambam, it adds something to your life. It gives you guidance in your life, not necessarily a directly deriving guidance from what you're learning about, but learning Rambam every day brings you to have guidance in your life and spiritual protection from these 83 issues. It's going to blow your mind a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't say this right away. I'll just say it. Rabbi Shmuel Dover Reichik, all of a shalom, Rabbi's first emissaries to Los Angeles. He was first emissary to Los Angeles. There was a gentleman whose name was B.H. The last name was Baruch Hashem, all of a shalom. He was absolutely insane, and he was violent. And he hurt Rabbi Reichik himself. You know what Rabbi Reichik says this guy needs? He needs more Rambam. Let's learn Rambam. So I'm just saying that was the natural perspective of a Shmuel David. Don't try this at home, folks. But you should try learning Rambam at home. Okay, so getting back to our major question tonight that I wanted to talk about. Leaving Egypt is not just a story. This week, we are all learning about leaving Egypt because this is something that's relevant to us today. The Torah says that when God wanted to redeem us from Egypt, He sent Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu said many reasons why He doesn't want to go. I don't want to go because of this reason, I don't go because of that reason. And finally, Moshe Rabbeinu puts his trump card on the table. He says, okay, sorry, I shouldn't mention any political names. The guy got nervous, so okay, sorry. He put his Biden card, whatever. He put a card on the table. They thought this was irrefutable. What was his card he put on this table? Conversation with Hashem. I cannot redeem the Jewish people. Do you know why, Hashem? I can't redeem them because they will not believe in you. They don't believe in you. Because they don't believe in you, Shalom Aleichem, because they may not believe in you, therefore I cannot redeem the Jewish people. Now, question number one is, Hashem can't redeem them because they don't believe? Why not? It's possible they don't believe, and God can still redeem them. There was an old chassid, Peretz Mashkan Shalom, one of the great chassidim, but apparently everyone has moments. And so his sister was giving birth, and she was death. It was very. There were doctors worried about her life, and he came to the Rebbe, and his sister-in-law was having giving birth, and he was worried about her health, and he came to the Rebbe, the Rebbe's Farbrengen, and the Rebbe gave him a blessing for his sister-in-law, but it was so scary. He went back in the middle of the same Farbrengen and asked again for his sister-in-law. I heard this from Rabbi Korf. The Rebbe took his hat, Rabbi Peretz's hat, lowered it over to his nose, and the Rebbe said, "It's not her fault that that you don't have faith in me. It's not her fault that you don't have faith in me." And that's how Yossel Mashkin was born. Anyways, so it's possible though that your lack of faith could hold back blessings. It's true, but actually the Sfas Emes says something amazing. The Sfas Emes says the Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to accomplish. He knew that in future generations, maybe people that lose their faith in Hashem, he wanted Hashem to say, "No, you could redeem the Jewish people anyways." He wanted Hashem to bring redemption to anyone, even if they don't believe in Hashem, they should still be redeemed. Well, let's go deeper than that. Let's understand this deeper. Everyone has their own Mitzrayim. And the way to get out of Mitzrayim, how do you get out of your own Egypt? What's the key thing that brought us out of Egypt? In what merit did we leave Egypt? The Torah says, in merit of our emunah in Hashem. Our belief in Hashem is what brought us out of Egypt. Without our emunah, we couldn't leave Egypt. If you lose your emunah, what are you losing? You're losing your core connection to yourself. Your connection to your deepest self is who is the deepest to you? Who is Vitaly Alkabetz? Vitaly Alkabetz is emunah. That's your deepest self. Who is Beryl Klein? Beryl, who are you? You're emunah in Hashem. That's who you are. That's the definition of who you are. You are emunah. That's your deepest, realest, truest self. That's who you are. So when a Jew loses their faith in Hashem, they're losing a connection to the very core. So it's true that at that time, when the Jewish people were in Egypt, they were in the 49th gate of impurity, their lowest possible level. But it's really hard to believe in Hashem when you're in such a low level. But it's even harder to believe in yourself. In order to go out of Egypt, you have to also believe in yourself as well. You can't go out of Egypt without believing in yourself. And what helps a person believe in himself is believing in Hashem. Because when you believe in Hashem, you believe that Hashem created you, and you're his ambassador here in the world to accomplish something. So your belief in Hashem, it brings, it inspires, it causes, it draws down your faith in yourself. So what happened in the time our people were in Egypt, our grandparents in Egypt? Most Jews didn't leave Egypt. Why did most Jews leave Egypt? The Torah says they passed away the plague of darkness. They didn't believe. They didn't believe in themselves. They didn't believe that they were worthy of redemption. That was actually going to happen. They believed that it couldn't happen. So also, if you have something that's bothering you, you have something that's holding you back, something that's holding you back, relationship with your spouse, with your children, with your business, with your health, something you're waiting to change, it has to change. The first step is, or someone is asking you for help. The first thing you want to give the person who's asking for help is to believe in themselves. Without believing in themselves, they can't go anywhere. You can't go anywhere. You have to believe in Hashem, and by believing in Hashem, when we left Egypt, what happened? We come to the Red Sea. There's nowhere to go. There's the Egyptians behind. There's a Red Sea in front of us. And what does God say to Moshe Rabbeinu? Tell the Jewish people, travel forward. Because they believe in me, Hashem says, the sea is not in their way. There's no sea. With your emunah in Hashem, your belief in Hashem, you split the sea. There's no sea in your way. Your emunah, as Baal Shem Tov says, the Jew with his faith, said Baal Shem Tov, could cross an ocean with a handkerchief. That's who we are. We have emunah. We believe in Hashem. So, when someone's asking you for help, the first thing you want to do for that person who's asking for help is help them believe in themselves. Because if you don't believe in yourself, there's nowhere to go out of Egypt, nowhere to go out of your limitations, nowhere to go. You're stuck in the plague of darkness if you don't have emunah. The darkness is you can't see in front of your face, you can't see who you are, you can't see that Hashem is with you. That's the plague of darkness. Being dying in the plague of darkness means that you don't have the ability to see who is with you, who's holding your hand. So, what did Hashem say to Moshe? When Moshe says they're not going to believe in you, they might not want to come, then they're going to say this doesn't happen, it's not true. What did God respond? God told Moshe, put your hand into your bosom, and Moshe's hand comes out with saras. He is punished. Why is he punished? Because Hashem said, you spoke not true about my children. You said they won't believe in me. It's not true. But wasn't it true? What happened? Read further in the Torah. God says, here are the signs to show the Jewish people. So show the signs. And then what does the Torah say after the signs? And they believed. So did they believe before the signs? Or they believe after the signs? We read the story on the surface. It says Moshe made the signs and the people believed. So it sounds like they didn't believe before. So why is Moshe wrong? Moshe seems to be right. He told Hashem they're not going to believe, and Hashem says, okay, here, show them the signs, and then they'll believe. So did we believe because of the signs? Then we didn't believe. We didn't believe before. So the answer is very deep. The answer is something which can really, really change our lives and open doors for us in an amazing way. Here's the answer. To understand this, just say the simple answer to Maharsha. He says, the Torah, although it says that they first saw the signs, and then they believe, but really that's just the way the Torah phrases it, but really they believe before. That's one extra answer. But I want to tell you a deeper answer. One of the most important elements of the month that we've entered, the month of Tevet, is a ayin. Every month has a letter. The letter of the month of Tevet is ayin. What does ayin mean? Ayin means an eye, an ayin, an eye. The Talmud says, a judge cannot be a witness. A witness cannot be a judge. If you see the two people have a dispute between them, you are present. You know what happened. You saw what happened. The Torah says you cannot be a judge. Why can't you be a judge? It would seem if anybody could be a judge, you could be the judge because you saw what happened. So why not? You're not be objective, but don't you know it better than anyone else? The answer is like this. We don't all see the same things. We're all sitting around the table. Baruch Hashem, we have a minyan of Jews studying Torah together. The Shekhinah is here. What are we looking at? One guy looks at the other guy. He said, "Look at me to see what kind of watch he's wearing." Other guy looking at the other guy. He's like, "This guy is a poor schnook. I could tell by the jacket. That jacket was out of style since 1956." Another guy's looking at the other guy's shoes. Looking at the guy's shoes. Oh, those shoes. Oh my gosh. Those shoes must cost $500. Everyone's looking at different things. Everyone sees different things. Some people, the first thing they look at is they look at your shoes. That's how some people are. We don't see the same thing. That's why the Torah, when it says to us, guard your eyes, it's a huge thing. Because where you see mamish, it becomes who you are. That's why it's so important to keep your eyes to be pure. Nothing precious to a father like a child, the purity of a child. Hashem wants us to have purity, to keep our eyes pure. So the Torah says, don't go after your heart and after your eyes. What comes first, your eyes or your heart? Your eyes. So why did the Torah say, don't go after your heart and after your eyes? Because it's not true. We actually see different things. It's the way Ein Adam Roeh Ela Mihuri Libo. The Gemara says a person only sees from the thoughts of their heart. What makes you see things a certain way is because of what's inside you. There was two Chabad boys today. One of them is Rabbi Shavtai Salatitsky, the Rebbe's emissary in Antwerp. They were doing a film campaign by a central bus station in Israel. Rabbi Eliyahu Friedman, Rabbi Shavtai Salatitsky. They're putting on film with people. And it's a great experience. People are coming by, they're putting on film, they're talking to them, it's wonderful. One guy comes by, and he's like, this is terrible. What are you guys doing? What are you doing? And Rabbi Savtiskis walks over, he's like, what happened? It's terrible! Look! Above where they were standing, there's a billboard. And there's a billboard of some movie, whatever, it wasn't the most modest billboard. And he's like, how do you look at it? How do you stand over here? So Rabbi Friedman's like, honestly, sir, we've been standing here for 3 hours and none of us have looked up at that billboard. And you just walked by. The guy put his head down and he kept on walking. Anyways, the point is that it's really important to guard our eyes because what we see becomes who we are. And that's why a witness cannot be a judge because you are involved in the story. The way you see things, you're involved. The Talmud says a story about Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said to her, we met this Gentile noblewoman, a prominent lady, a matronisa. The matronisa tells Rabbi Yossi, my God is better than your God. Because her God was the snake. And your God is the God of the Bible, the Torah. My God's better than your God. Why is my God better than your God? Because when Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to Hashem, and Hashem was upset at Moshe, what does it say? Moshe hid his face. However, when the snake came after Moshe runs away. So she says, you see my God is greater than your God. That's her perspective. What's her perspective? Where did she grow up? Where did Moshe Rabbeinu grow up? Where did Rabbi Yossi grow up? Rabbi Yossi gave her some choice words. And Rabbi Yossi said to her, you don't understand anything. Where are you going to run away from? Hashem is everywhere. You can't run away. Moshe knew there's no place to run. But Moshe, when the idea of running away from the snake, Moshe says it's not running away from the snake. The snake is a sign of sin. Moshe knew he made a mistake and he followed the path of the snake that caused Adam and Eve to sin. And Moshe knew. Yossi said to this woman, your God, you went 2 steps away from your God, you're already safe. But our God's in the heaven and the earth, in the language of the Rambam. Yusoda, Amud HaChachma, the pillar of the foundation of all foundations, the pillar of all wisdom, is to know Sheisham Motzirishan, there is a God, V'hu Mamtzi Kol Nimtzoyim, that all that's created in heaven and earth only comes from Him. Where are you going to run? What is Moshe running from the snake? Moshe is not running from the snake. For Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe, for a Jew, and not just for Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe represents all the Jewish people. Every Jew has a spark of Moshe in him. As it says in Maimonides' tombstone, from Moses until Moses, no one arose like Moses. In every generation, like the Rambam, there's someone like Moses. And every Jew has a spark of Moses in him. So for a Jew who has a spark of Moses in him, it's a different perspective. We say in Ashrei ha'am shekachalo, how fortunate the people, shekachalo, that have this lot. What's shekacha mean? Shekacha is gematria Moshe. Shekacha gematria, how fortunate the people that we have a Moshe Rabbeinu, how fortunate are we that we have a Rebbe, how fortunate are we that we have a Moshe inside of us. Shekacha, as the Baal Shem Tov says, for a Jew, Shekacha, it's obvious. For Moshe Rabbeinu, there's nothing else. It's just the way it is. He's at absolute clarity. He sees Hashem. That's Moshe Rabbeinu. And so in us, we have a spark of Moshe in us. Shekacha, it's obvious that all there is Torah, all there is mitzvot, all there is Hashem. For a Jew, being in the place of Hashem is like a child being in his mother's arms. It's a natural, happy place. So, going back to the signs, our question about the signs. Paro saw the signs too. Did Paro believe after he saw the signs? Paro saw the signs. Paro didn't believe after the signs. The signs don't create the faith in Hashem. The signs, the Jewish people were so submerged in impurity, they're so submerged in the negativity. So by seeing the signs that evoked in them what they had inside them, it wasn't they believed because of the signs. The signs of Hashem woke them up and brought out what they always had inside. Two guys came to my friend's yeshiva after the Yom Kippur War. They wanted to do teshuvah. Why? They were fighting in the war. They were in a tank, and a missile hit their tank. The tank went on fire. They couldn't. They tried to pry open. What's the top of the tank called? The hatch. They tried to push open the hatch. Speaking of hatches, all from Hatch Kitchen. Say l'chaim for Elon. So they tried to pry open the hatch. They couldn't. They're not religious, but there's fire in the tank. They're gone. So what do? They say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad together. They say Shema Yisrael. A second doesn't pass. Another missile hits the tank, and the whole hatch gets knocked off. They jump out of the hatch. What was the hatch? And they're free. They come to yeshiva. The next day, they come to yeshiva. We want to come close to Hashem. But one of them stayed. One of them didn't stay. One of them stayed because, yeah, I saw the hand of Hashem. The other one's like, yeah, but maybe not. Maybe it was circumstance. Maybe just that moment. So the point is, we have our eyes, our perspective. Our perspective, the way we see things, is really important. When we look at things. Baal Shem Tov says, when you see the deficiency in someone else, really, it's a mirror of what you have inside yourself. Hashem wants to show you what you're missing in yourself, and therefore, He shows it to you in someone else. A lot of times you see couples arguing, and the wife says to the husband, "You're neglecting me. You're neglecting your children." And when you scream at the children, they get scared.
What do you mean sometimes?
And really what's going on is, it's possible that the wife is actually feeling scared herself when husband when she gets screamed at. And so she's screaming, you're scaring the children because she's scared. A lot of times we react a certain way because of our own experiences. Sometimes a husband says to a wife, "No, we don't have any friends come to us on Shabbat, you should invite friends." Why does he say that? Because he himself feels that he's not the number one social person. Sometimes parents see a child crying, and they say, "You're just crying for attention." Why are the parents nervous when the child is crying? Why do the parents say he's just crying for attention? Because the parent has himself inside of him a little boy that's crying, and the parent wants to silence that boy. That's how the parent is dealing with his own insecurities, and therefore here's the baby, the child crying. He reminds him of his own tears, and he can't handle his weakness. So what's the answer to all this? Rabbi Eliezer says in the Mishnah, Pirkei Avot, what's a path a person should choose in life? The path you should choose in life is go out and see. You can't stay inside your own. You can't lift yourself up by pulling your hair. I've tried. You have to go out and see. What's the Tzu'urei mean? Tzu'urei means that we have two souls. We have a godly soul. We have an animal soul. Our godly soul always notices the good in other people. Our godly soul sees the faith in other people. Our godly soul sees the spiritual beauty in other people. Our neshama, that's our soul. Our animal soul. Our animal soul sees always the ugliness in other people. Our animal soul sees the futility, sees the niggardly, sees the notice of faults. When you focus, if I look at Chaim, a Geshmaki Yidr Chaim. A Yid comes here in the morning and he's learning and he's davening, he has such integrity, and he says something, you know what he says to me, it's all the way, with emunah, with pure faith. I just think about Chaim, you know what happens when I think about Chaim? You know what happens? My own neshama starts to shine. I think about his goodness. What happens when you think about another person's goodness? Which part of me sees his goodness? My neshama. You see this always. You see two kids grow up in the same house. A husband and wife go on a trip. They come back from the trip. How was the trip? So the wife is like, "Oh, it was amazing. It was so good." And the husband's like, "Wow, the hotel was terrible." They were in the same place. There's traffic. Terrible traffic. Oh my gosh. They're in the same place. They're not in the same place. It all has to do with our eyes. So Rabbi Eliezer says, what's the path you should choose in life is the most important thing. It's the month of Tevet, the month of Ayin, the month of Einayim, the month of the eye, is to have a good eye. Randall Futafas used to say, the best character trait you could have in your life, that will make you the most happy, is to have a good eye. Why? Imagine. Rabbeinu Yonah writes in Perek Beis Mishatet, the Pirkei Avot, Machvat rochav libo, because your heart is broad, and tov einav, and the goodness in your eye, you're able to accept all good characteristics. Having a good eye opens you up to all good characteristics. What's a good eye mean? You're not bothered by another person's good fortune. Not only not bothered, you feel good another person has good. I love saying the story. I've said it a million times. Eliezer, one of the characters in 770, it's one Shavuos. Remember Eliezer? Single-eyed Eliezer. It's Moshe Dayan. So Eliezer, it's one Shavuot. It's a holiday of Shavuot. Everyone's walking out of the synagogue dressed in their holiday finest. Yeah. Everyone's dressed in their holiday finest. Everyone's going home to have the Suda, the meal of Shavuot. This feels good, you know. It's not like Pesach, you can't eat cheesecake. It's not like Sukkot, you have to eat in the Sukkah. It's Shavuos, it's fun, you have the cheesecake, it's great. Everyone's walking home except for Eliezer, right? Poor Eliezer. Eliezer calls over Rafi Halevi. Rafi, Ezeu Ashir, who is rich? Rabbi says, Hasamech b'chalko. It says in the Mishnah, whoever is happy with his lot. There's no. Hasamech b'chalko. If you're happy with someone for someone else, that's someone who's really truly rich. Rafi told this to Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu. Mordechai Eliyahu says, this is the depth of the Torah. This is the omek. This is the depth of what that means. That's a tov ayin. So Mendel Futafaz said, if you're able to be happy with someone else's goodness, you're always going to be happy. Someone is always getting engaged. Someone's always getting married. Someone's always having a baby. Someone's always buying a Tesla. Someone's always having something good happen to them. If you're able to be happy with someone else's goodness, oh, you know what happened today? Zlata and Herschel got engaged. You know what happened today? Sprinza had a baby. You know what happened today? Yankel got $1 million. He sold that property for 10 times more than he bought it for. If you're able to be happy with someone else, you're always going to be happy. That's the key to seeing good in others. You open, and the key to receiving all the blessings of Hashem. It says about Naphtali. Naphtali svar ratzon u'malei birchat Hashem. Naphtali is satisfied and is molei birchat Hashem, full of the blessings of Hashem. We have a good eye to see the good of other people. You're developing your neshama. You're making the neshama shine. When you're noticed, we don't realize. We think it's like it's not true. When we notice the faults of what's going on in our lives, and we notice this is missing, that's missing, we have that. You know, I forgot what it's called. I don't remember what those tests the psychologists do. They show you writings, they show you drawings, and they ask you what your reaction is. You know what I'm talking about? What's that called? Huh? Rorschach. Yes. Say it again. Rorschach. Yeah. Rorschach developed these drawings. You look at the drawing and ask you, what do you see? And it's very surprising. It makes you like, you see some kids and look at this drawing and it's like, someone's hitting me. I see someone hitting someone, and it's like out of nowhere because people see what's going on in them. That's what they see. So if we look at the negativity, it becomes our master. We're feeding the animal in us, and we're making it govern us, and it ruins our lives. It ruins your life. If you feed the negativity of your animal soul, it ruins your life. If you look for the good in other people, what a great life. What a great way to live. You're always going to be happy seeing the good in other people. You walk around, there's the avart. The baker and the grocer went to court. Why? The baker is suing the grocer. I buy milk, and I buy eggs, and I buy flour from this grocer, and I measured the pounds of flour on my scale, and it wasn't a full pound. It says a full pound. It wasn't a full pound. The judge listening says, really? What do you have to say for yourself, Mr. Grocer? The grocer says, Your Honor, do you have a scale in your grocery? I certainly do have a scale, but I can't really afford a regular scale, so I made my own scale. You made your own scale. Okay, well, what do you use for weights? Well, Your Honor, actually, I don't really have weights, so I did is I bought this loaf of bread from the baker, which is for a pound, and I use it to measure the eggs, to measure the pound of flour. That's how I measure. What we put in is what we see. What we put in is what we see. If you decide consciously to see the good in what's going on in your life, you decide that, you will feed yourself good energy all day. You will live a different life. I'm not saying that to be rose-eye glasses. I'm saying decide consciously to feed yourself healthy thoughts, healthy words. It's a different kind of life. Yankel is speaking to God. He says to God, my wife is so beautiful. Tell me, God, why'd you make her so beautiful? God said, I want you to love her and to appreciate her. God, she's also an amazing cook. Why'd you make her such an amazing cook? Oh, she's such an amazing cook because I wanted you to appreciate her, and your home should be welcome guests and should be such a nice place for people to come. That's so nice, God. I appreciate that so much. I'm not complaining. I just have one little question. She's not so smart. God said, well, I had to get her to agree to marry you, didn't I? The Mishnah says, it says in the Torah, Tov Ayin Hu Yevorach. A good eye is the one who is Yevorach and Yevorach. If you're at Brechat Hamazon, who do you give the cup to do Brechat Hamazon? You give it to the Kohen. Why the Kohen? The Torah says, Tov Ayin, someone has a good eye, who sees good in others, he has the brachas, he has the blessings, and he has the power to bless. Someone who has the power to see the good, Tov Ayin. There's it's a Kohen character trait. If you chesed, and it's something, it's your neshama's character trait. Your neshama's always, you want to know how to do this, just practical. What I'm saying, I'm practically saying is to be a bee, not a fly. If a bee and a fly comes somewhere, and the fly, no matter how beautiful the garden is going straight to garbage. A bee is always going straight to the honey. What's the difference between someone who loves the truth or someone who hates lies? If you hate lies, who do you hate? Everybody. Everybody has lies. If you love the truth, who do you love? Love everybody. Because everybody has something emet in them. So this is the key to open up ourselves for our neshama, to go out of our Mitzrayim, to be ready to go out to connect to our neshama, to have geula. The key out of Mitzrayim is emunah. Moshe Rabbeinu said, they don't believe Hashem. Hashem said, no, I don't see the Jewish people that way. They are believers. They need signs. Yes, they need signs. And the signs are just to evoke and reveal who they are. Rosh Hashiva, I've got his name now. It's a true story. Rosh Hashiva, on Friday night, if you know his name, please tell me. I'm sure you heard the story before. It was Friday night, and one of his students, he found out, we went to a movie theater. And you know the story, right? The Rosh Hashiva went on Friday night to the movie theater. And he heard this voice in the movie theater. And he went in the movie theater, and he obviously didn't take his money with him. It's Shabbat. He asked the guy, he says, you see, I'm a rabbi. I don't want to watch the movie. My students, can I go in? Go in. He goes in. He finds, in the middle of the dark, he's groping in the dark to find his student. He finds his student. He finds his student, he sits down next to him. He's just sitting there in the movie. His student lifts his eyes up, and he sees the Rosh Hashiva is next to him. I just wanted to tell you, I know you're very careful in keeping kosher. The popcorn here, it's not kosher. And he gets up and he walks out. They walk back, he runs after Rosh Hashiva, they walk back. He didn't say one word. Rosh Hashiva didn't say one word to this boy the whole way home. He didn't say a word to him. This boy changed completely. Why he changed completely? Because Rosh Hashiva saw in him that he's good. He saw in him his goodness. The way to connect to goodness in yourself, the way to connect to goodness in others, is with your eye. The way to get out of your own Mitzrayim, the glass ceiling that's stopping you, is to believe that Hashem believes in you, believes exactly where you are, in the circumstances that you're in. When God appears to Moshe the first time, what happens? God says to Moshe Rabbeinu, take the shoes off your feet. The Hebrew word for shoe is na'alecha. Na'alecha, same root as the word, locks. Don't feel you're locked into where you are. You're not locked. Amokim asher eimed aleha admat kodeshu. The place you're standing is a holy soil. So, my dear friends, I say l'chaim. Let's make a good decision tonight to connect more to the Rambam, to learn more of the laws of the Rambam, which take away all these doubts of the Yetzer Hara. Does Hashem believe in me? Does not believe in me? It's going to happen? It's not going to happen? Just realize Hashem is with us where we are in circumstances that we're in, and at the emes of Gula, Bakar of Mamish, we'll see the Gula, to strengthen our Amunah in Hashem, strengthen our Amunah Gula, strengthen our Amunah in ourselves and each other. That's how you bring out the best in us and the best in each other. And we should see how Hashem shows our goodness, the world. Chos Havayis Reya Kodshay, the coming Mashiach Tzedekenu Bakar of Mamish. Amen.